Welcome to the CPConnect Overview. In this brief video, we're going to walk through all of the components of CPConnect so you can strengthen the connections between your clients and your caregivers. As soon as you have watched this video and completed activation, you'll notice that when you log into your dashboard, when you actually click on CPConnect, it will now be active. So we're just going to go ahead and click on CPConnect in my CP dashboard. When you do so, essentially you're going to see three icons: My Clients, Lead Boost, and Add a New Client Profile. Essentially is what CPConnect is doing is using the data that you have on your caregivers through the Care Profiler, combining that with new data on your clients, and creating multiple reports about how to strengthen those connections, as well as give you an idea of which caregivers have the highest likelihood of creating strong connections with each of your clients. In order to do so, we have to input some data about your client. So this is done with a new questionnaire called the Ideal Caregiver 24. The Ideal Caregiver 24 is a dynamic questionnaire in that the strength of the respondents' preferences will determine how many questions and which questions are going to be asked. The 24 meaning that there are no more than 24 questions that someone will have to answer. So, to get started, we're going to talk about the client side of things. The first thing you need to do, certainly, is to add a client's information into the CPConnect database. So to do so, we're going to click Add New Client Profile. So again, I mentioned the questionnaire that's part of this is called the Ideal Caregiver 24. Essentially, there's two ways to administer that to a current or existing client. One is you can email a link to the specific client, him or herself, to the client's family members, and they can complete it for you. You can also administer it in person while you're having an intake or a care plan meeting with the client. This certainly creates a way to build rapport and have an engaging conversation about what the client really needs. Once you've done that, you then click on My Clients, and what you will see is, as you might expect, a list of all of your clients whom you have an IC24 on file for. So let's take a look at Mary Carrillo. We're going to click on View Client, and as what we get then is Mary Carrillo's record, and we can view her Ideal Caregiver report, as well as view a list of how well your caregivers match up with Mary. So first thing, let's just go ahead and take a look at Mary's Ideal Caregiver report. As with all of her reports, this comes in a PDF format, and essentially this report becomes a way that you can further communicate with the client and their family members about how invested you are in providing the best care and the best people to take care of them. So the Ideal Caregiver report, it's essentially 3 pages with a cover page. The first page of content here is more of a narrative, and essentially it breaks down Mary's ideal caregiver based on the information that she or her family provided to us in the Ideal Caregiver 24 questionnaire into 3 sections. The first being Head. This talks about how Mary would hope her ideal caregiver processes information, thinks through problems, whether she's a detail person or a big picture person, those kinds of things. The middle piece here, the Heart, talks about how Mary would hope her ideal caregiver would have conversations with her, how aware and attuned to emotions they are, kind of the level of expressivity. And then the bottom piece, Hands and Feet, talk about how Mary's ideal caregiver would approach tasks and duties and those kinds of things. The next page is kind of a more scientific picture, if you will, of the strength of Mary's preferences in each of these continuums. So certainly the more dots on one side, the stronger the preference. So you can see, with the exception of relying on others for help, Mary's preferences are pretty mild. She's probably a pretty flexible person. The last page of the report is one that we've gotten a fair amount of positive feedback about in our beta testing. Is essentially, as it says here, a letter to the caregiver or caregivers from Mary that basically give directives or instructions about how she would hope to be treated and communicated to and cared for. And so they're very simple instructions, very simple sentences, such as, don't get too bothered if things don't go as planned. I sometimes want to be conversational and sometimes want my peace and quiet. It would be best if you do not pay much attention to my emotions or read into them very much. Very helpful things that give the caregiver clear directions about essentially how to behave or act when working with this particular client, and things that are going to increase the likelihood that they develop a nice, strong working relationship. So that's the ideal caregiver report. Incidentally, we've been getting feedback that putting this page right in the client's care plan and just having the place for the caregiver to reference it is a great way to use that piece of information. So if we go back to CPConnect and Mary's page here, click on View Ideal Caregiver Connections, is what will come up is a list of your caregivers sorted by their compatibility with Mary based on how the preferences of her ideal caregiver. So you can see here we have some scores in the 600s, and then it continues to get lower. Incidentally, we're currently viewing your current employees. You can also take a look at your applicants that you might have kind of in your database to see if there might be some people that you might want to bring on specifically for Mary that would be a good fit. So in addition to there's compatibility score with Mary, the likelihood of the strength of their connection, you also have a report for each caregiver as it relates to Mary. So let's quickly take a look at that. This report essentially is what it is. We'll wait for it to come up here. It's that Dear Caregiver letter, which we looked at briefly, as it specifically pertains to this specific caregiver. So John, we see that there are a couple yellow flags next to some of these directives. So pay equal attention to details in big picture. This might be something that maybe isn't naturally intuitive for John. So he or a supervisor are aware that that's something that he might need to put a little bit more energy into making sure that he's able to do that when working with Mary. Again, just to increase the likelihood that things are going to go well with Mary and they'll be able to work well together. So that's essentially the client side of CPConnect. I want to go back to our CPConnect page, and I noticed, or I pointed out, the lead boost section. Okay, this is utilizing the Ideal Caregiver 24 questionnaire in a similar way, but just a little different way. The idea here is to help create sort of an instant or strong connection with potential clients as soon as possible. And so the lead boost piece creates basically a teaser report for potential clients after they complete the Ideal Caregiver 24 questionnaire, maybe directly from your website, in an inquiry form, in an email exchanges between potential clients and family members. So that unique link, if you click on it, I have it pulled up here for you. This little window will pop up. We care and we're listening, and this could certainly be customized to meet your needs. Click on Let Us Show You, and immediately they're going to start this very interactive process with you and your organization. Will the services be for you or for a loved one? So let's say they're for a loved one. Click Next. what is your loved one's name? Let's say John, just for an example here. Then they're going to be asked a series of questions about what kind of caregiver John needs. So John needs a caregiver who is outgoing and sociable. John would prefer a caregiver who picks up on how John is feeling emotionally or does not base emotions. Definitely not base decisions on emotions. And for the interest of time, I'll just kind of go through and pick some preferences here. And so you can see that they're getting a feeling right away that you're really invested in wanting to know what kind of caregiver is going to be best for John. Then he's just going to be asked to kind of clarify some of these preferences. I'll just do this real quickly so I can show you what they get. So you saw already the full ideal caregiver report. So is what we are seeing here now is what the potential clients who are maybe just inquiring on your website, they get kind of a teaser report. So it's a one-page, very shortened version of some of the information in the full report, but the idea is basically to give them a call to action to give you a call to get their full report and to further have that conversation with you. So this says, it appears John will be most focused on how the caregiver processes information and follows instructions. This will be one of 7 significant factors in choosing the right caregiver for John. And then it talks a little bit, John's ideal caregiver will need to stay very focused on conventional approaches and avoid trying new things. John's caregiver must be a broad, big picture thinker. CP Demo Care has John's full ideal caregiver report on file and is excited to share it with you and tell you about their caregivers who match with John. Give them a call today, the phone number, and so hopefully they'll do that, but you've also now gotten their information and you can reach out to them as well. So it's certainly a way to start that conversation and start that real strong connection with potential clients before you even have a conversation with them, quite frankly. So then if you go back to CPConnect, click on Lead Boost, you'll see all of the people who have been filling out your ideal caregiver inquiry form from your website. And you can start contacting those potential clients. So those are the main components of CPConnect. You're almost ready to start using it. Go ahead and finish this activation process, and as always, if you have any questions, please feel free to contact us at info@careprofiler.com. Thanks, and have a great day.